Hey there, how's it going? This is Seth from the RE Tipster blog. You know, over the past couple of years, my wife and I have been renovating our basement in our house. And what you see behind me here is our new office. And as we've been moving a lot of stuff into this new workspace and trying to get things organized, it's got me thinking a lot about the subject of organization. And whether you're, a brand new real estate investor, or even if you've been doing this for a while, you probably know organization is just a big deal. I mean, it's something that you just have to have nailed down, or you're just going to be dealing with a lot of unnecessary challenges along the way. And I know when I first started doing this, I mean, I didn't really have a template or good guidelines on exactly where I'm supposed to put things and how to do it. I was, shuffling papers all over the place, and I couldn't really find things right when I needed them. And it's a challenge, and it's something you need to be able to find stuff like that as soon as you need to. And really what I've developed over the years is almost a completely paperless system now. And I use it with Dropbox, and you've probably heard of Dropbox, but if you haven't, you really need to look into it, because it's an awesome tool and it's free. And one of the things that it allows me to do is at any point in time, wherever I am, I can pull up any one of my documents right here on my phone. So if I'm meeting with clients somewhere, if I'm at a title company or looking at a property or something like that, if there's anything I need, whether it be pictures or documents or spreadsheets or any of that stuff, it's right there on my phone thanks to Dropbox. So anyway, I guess before I get into this, I'll just tell you there's no definitive right or wrong way to do this. I mean, what I'm going to be showing you here is just the system that works for me. I don't even think it's perfect, but I think it's pretty good. So if you want to just use this as a starting point, if you don't really know where to even begin, feel free to do that. Or if you even want to use elements of this, or if you know of a system that's even better, feel free to use that and then let me know so that I can use it. But without further ado, let's jump in and I'll show you how my system works. Okay, now this is the system that I use. Now, when I first click on my Dropbox icon on my desktop, this is really what I see, and really this is my entire life broken down into this Dropbox file. And as you'll kind of see, there's different primary folders here. I guess here, RE Tipster, that's the blog. That's pretty much everything I do with the blog is in there. Personal stuff, other, Northwest, that is the real estate holding company that I use for my rental properties. So that's what that is. Landmark, that's the entity that I use to buy and sell land. Consulting, that's just, occasionally I do some consulting with people who want to learn more about the various things that I do. So any kind of information about that is in there. And then apps, that's really just the backup folder for my blog. But really for the purposes of what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to take you through a little very quick tour of Landmark and Northwest, because this is my buying and selling entity, and then this is my permanent real estate holding company. And for I guess for Northwest, basically when you go in here, these addresses are just all of the different properties that I own, and just the documents that pertain to those. As you can see, there's not I don't own a ton of rental properties yet. I'm trying to build that up over time, but just take you through this one right here. This is a duplex that I've got, and I've got all the insurance documentation in here, accounting, like bank statements and things like that. Leases, all of the leases with the tenants that are currently in place. Photos of the property, if I ever need to list it for any reason. The nice thing for me is that I use a property management company, so for a pretty reasonable price, they handle pretty much all of the hard stuff, and I just kind of keep track of it with the records and such. So accounting and leases and photos and things like that is really all I need, just to keep track of the money that's coming in from that. So again, I just really have a separate folder for each property and kind of manage things that way. Landmark, this is really a much more active folder that I get into a lot. The folders that I have broken down here: contracts and forms, really any of the purchase agreements or deed templates or letters or anything like that I refer back to on a regular basis. That's what goes in there. Corporate documentation, that's just the legal papers for the entity itself. County lists, anytime that I get a county, whether it be a tax delinquent list or something from Agent Pro, it'll go in there just as kind of a permanent record of what I've pulled and who I've mailed to. Not only the original raw list that I got, but also the refined, organized, sorted one that I actually use to upload to Click to Mail and mail out. So those all go in there. IRA forms, I don't use this a lot, but I do have a self-directed Roth IRA. So whenever I'm buying properties with that, I use that folder. Letter templates, that's where all my postcard templates and things like that go. Things that I've experimented with in the past and things that I currently use. Marketing, this is like, website stuff, pictures, all of that. Company logos, things like that I use to publish online. Other, that's just what it is. It's other. It's kind of just a catch-all for anything else that doesn't have a place. Tax and accounting stuff, that's really where all my QuickBooks things go. Voicemail system, that's where my audio files that I use to upload to Ring Central will go. And the two that I'm just going to take you through really quickly are purchasing activity and selling activity, because these two are by far the most important and most active folders within this folder. Purchasing activity is whenever I'm buying a property, I organize it by the location. So it starts by, I go to the state, then the county, and then the person's last name to figure that out. So just for example, if we go here to Michigan, this is where I've done a lot of stuff in the past. Sheboygan is a county in Michigan. These are all the offers that I've sent out. These are the last names of the people who I've sent offers to in that county, like ever. And within these folders will be the actual offer that I sent them. So, a copy of that Word document, along with the cover letter, and if they accepted it, a copy of that signed purchase agreement would be in there as well, just as a PDF. And then, continuing on through the process, if we ended up buying it, really all the stuff that went along with that. Just for example, we ended up buying this one and there was a lot of due diligence that went along with it, so there were a lot of files that went in there. So really this is just kind of the permanent record of anything that I would ever need access to, pertaining to any particular property that we have either purchased or gotten under contract. That's kind of how I sort those things. And then the selling activity, this is a little bit less populated because obviously not everybody accepts our offers. In fact, a lot of them don't. But when we do go to sell a property, this is where we keep all of that information, whether we're wholesaling it or whatever we're doing there. So for example, inside of these things would be kind of a similar structure to the purchasing activity folder, where if somebody ended up making an offer or we made an agreement to sell it, we would have a copy of that signed purchase agreement, maybe any photos that we use to list it for sale, maybe a copy of our listing, something like that. And then really all of the documentation that went along with that when we sold it. So, a copy of the recorded deed. If it was sold with seller financing, that we might have records of, all the payments and stuff like that in there. So as you can imagine, certain files could get very full of stuff, depending on if it ended up selling and how much we sold it for and how much stuff was involved with that. And that's really kind of how I have my stuff organized. And as you can see, it's not necessarily a perfect system. I don't want to say this is the best thing ever, but it works for me. It's better than just having all of this stuff thrown with no organization into one folder and you can't find anything. I think you can probably refine this and organize it even more if you really wanted to, but this has kind of taken it to the level where it's acceptable for me. It's organized enough to the point where if I need to find something, I can find it. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of where you can go with your organization system, and just a kind of an idea and maybe some inspiration on what you can do. And yeah, hopefully that helps.